Hi there. I'm Noah, Aaron's brother. I've been given a little space at the end of this book because I'm a flesh and blood human, and as such, I can tell you some things you wouldn't believe if it came out of the mouth of any of these fictional characters. This stuff is real. Sure, there isn't actually anyone named Marcus or Angie, at least not that I know. But I do know real people just like them. If you want, you can go to San Francisco and meet them. And while you're there, you can play D&D with John Gilmore, or build a rocket ship in Noisebridge, or work with some hippies on an art project for Burning Man. And if some of the more conspiracy-minded stuff in the book seems too wild to be true, well, just Google Blackwater, XE, or Bluecoat. I myself have a FOIA request in to learn more about persona management software, but the feds say it'll take more than 3 years to redact all the relevant documents. Now I hope you had fun staying up all night reading about these things, but the next part is important, so pay attention. What's going on now isn't some reality TV show you can just sit at home and watch. This is your life. This is your country. And if you want to keep it safe, you need to get involved. I know it's easy to feel like you're powerless. Like there's nothing you can do to slow down or stop the system. Like all the calls are made by shadowy and powerful forces far outside your control. I feel that way too sometimes, but it just isn't true. A little over a year ago, a friend called to tell me about an obscure bill he'd heard of called Combating Online Infringement and Counterfeiting Act, or COICA. As I read the bill, I started to get more and more worried. Under its provisions, the government would be allowed to censor websites it didn't like, without so much as a trial. It would be the first time the U.S. government was given the power to censor its citizens' access to the net. The bill had just been introduced a day or two ago, but it already had a couple dozen senators co-sponsoring it, and despite there never being any debate, it was already scheduled for a vote in just a couple days. Nobody had ever reported on it, and that was just the point. They wanted to rush this thing through before anyone noticed. Luckily, my friend noticed. We stayed up all weekend and launched a website explaining what the bill did, with a petition you could sign opposing it that would look up the phone number of your representatives. We told a few friends about it, and they told a few friends, and within a couple of days we had over 200,000 people on our petition. It was incredible. Well, the people pushing this bill didn't stop. They spent literally tens of millions of dollars lobbying for it. The head of every major media company flew out to Washington, D.C., and met with the president's chief of staff to politely remind him of the millions of dollars they donated to the presidential campaign, and explain how what they wanted, the only thing they wanted, was for this bill to pass. But the public pressures kept building. To try and throw people off the trail, they kept changing the name of the bill, calling it PIPA or SOPA, and even the E-Parasites Act. But no matter what they called it, more and more people kept telling their friends about it and getting more and more people opposed. Soon, the signers on our petition stretched into the millions. We managed to stall them for over a year through various tactics, but they realized if they waited much longer, they might never get their chance to pass the bill. So they scheduled it for a vote first thing after they got back from winter break. But while members of Congress were off on winter break, holding town halls and public meetings back home, people started visiting them. Across the country, members started getting asked by their constituents why they were supporting this nasty internet censorship bill. And members started getting scared, some going so far as to respond by attacking me. But it wasn't about me anymore. It was never about me. From the beginning, it was about citizens taking things into their own hands, making YouTube videos and writing songs opposing the bill, making graphs showing how much money the bill's co-sponsors had received from the industries pushing it, and organizing boycotts putting pressure on the companies who'd endorsed the bill. And it worked. It took the bill from a political non-issue that was poised to pass unanimously to a toxic football no one wanted to touch. Even the bill's co-sponsors started rushing to issue statements opposing it. Boy, were those media moguls pissed. This is not how the system is supposed to work. A ragtag bunch of kids doesn't stop one of the most powerful forces in Washington just by typing on their laptops. But it did happen, and you can make it happen again. The system is changing. Thanks to the internet, everyday people can learn about and organize around an issue, even if the system is determined to ignore it. Now, maybe we won't win every time. This is real life after all. But we finally have a chance. But it only works if you take part. Now that you've read the book and learned how to do it, you're perfectly suited to make it happen again. That's right. Now it's up to you to change the system.